Yeah, I was just gonna give a couple shout outs while we were waiting for Carl. So we are planning funding the Commons next month. This is something that we are doing in collaboration with a bunch of folks this time around. And in particular, us as Open Source Observer, we're helping curate the first day, April 13th, will be purely dedicated to public goods funding of open source projects and PGF and these types of programs. So we're going to be posting the schedule pretty soon. Definitely come join us. It's going to be really interesting this year. We have curated some really interesting folks on both the Web 2 and Web 3 side of things, specifically around public goods funding. So seeing how we learn from each other and seeing how we build some of those bridges across funding mechanisms on both sides, as well as ideas sharing, I think is going to be really fascinating. So yeah, please join us for the conference. It's in San Francisco, and it should be a lot of fun. The website is here, fundingthecommons.io, if you want to join. Since I'm already sharing, Carl, if you don't mind me just
go for it. Keep going.
Doing real quick, because I think this will take like a minute. So basically, our open source observer page, I would say most of what we've been spending time on is the docs, which is why it's highlighted so much here. One of the things that has been broken for the last 3 months, but has been recently fixed thanks to Reuven's heroic efforts and completely rewriting the entire backend data warehouse, whatnot, is our project pages. So as of this sprint, we've recently fixed the search bar. You can search for projects. I've preloaded some of them here just so you can take a look. And this should look familiar if you've played with some of our project pages from RetroPGF before. The only difference is that they should load significantly faster than what they were before. So yeah. So feel free to play with this.
Yeah, the other thing, Ray, is that you now actually can toggle between different networks. So you have Arbitrum, Optimism, Uniswap's obviously on both of those. We don't yet have the other exhibits changing based on the network that you're on, but that will be coming soon.
Very cool. Yes, that is new. Thanks, Carl, for wiring that up. Yeah, I think the other thing to keep in mind is that every single one of these cards and charts are powered by our API. And so this front end, we're hoping, is just one of many front ends that will exist on top of the metrics data. So definitely check out the docs if you want to see how the API works. This front end gets no more special privileges than anybody else does when it comes to getting data from our GraphQL endpoint, which is what powers all of these cards. So yeah, check it out. That's all I got. Thank you.
And Ray just signed off.
He left the stage.
No, I left the stage.
No. Oh, you left the stage. Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. He walked off.
He walked off. All right, nice. Let me share. I'm going to share a couple things. So the first is really just the general kind of job description of a impact data scientist and how we're starting to try and tap into different communities and create a pipeline of aspiring impact data scientists, impact analysts. And I'm going to start just by sharing some slides. Oops, sorry. This is asking me for... Okay, great. So this was a presentation that we gave last week or 2 weeks ago at the Regen Learnings call. I think at least Santiago, you were here. But it was a very short call just talking about what an impact data scientist is and how they can get involved. And so let me just share that here because Reuven and Ray, you didn't actually see this presentation. But just to make things clear for everyone, Open Source Observer is the public good that we are creating that showcases all of the analytics about different open source projects and their on-chain impact. Kariba is the network, is the group of people that are using tools like Open Source Observer to do impact data science. And one of the things that we're trying to do is grow a network of people that can be contributing to that work. So why we think this is important? there are a number of new job professions that have arisen over the past several years, and all of them are able to conjure the dark arts in some way. So on the one hand, you have people that are able to look at data about sports and use that to create insight and to help teams win more baseball games. That was popularized by Michael Lewis in the book Moneyball. You also have the whole hedge fund industry, which is basically looking for public data sets and identifying market arbitrage opportunities. And then more recently, with the rise of Web 2, you have a new profession of growth marketers, which are really good at doing search engine optimization and analyzing social media trends so that they can get more links and eyeballs and engagement. So basically, all of these dark arts are new ways of using publicly available data to drive impact in some way. And really, the goal that we have here at Kariba is to channel that kind of energy and skill set into something positive. And we want that to lead to a new field called the impact data scientist. And the job description for this person is that they are trying to help networks increase positive impact per unit spent. And so the good thing is this isn't just theory right now. We have some real examples of where this is happening. And the way that the impact data scientist goes about their job is that they're able to kind of combine data about open source software with on-chain data, which looks at user activity, financial inflows, outflows, the supply chain of contracts all the way upstream to their dependencies. And in addition, increasingly, they're able to join that on other community-specific data. So this could be social graphs, it could be attestation, it could be other forms of identity information. But ideally, a impact data scientist is able to navigate this increasingly complex landscape of data sources and bring them into one place where they're able to do really efficient, cool data science. And so what Kariba is trying to do is create a really great place for people to do that kind of impact data science. In addition to kind of creating this job description and goal, we have a plan in place right now, which is to get a small group of people together that can form an initial data collective, people that are going to be using the tools and putting them into practice. We, as the team behind this, as the labs team, we want to help build the infrastructure and the tooling and the educational content to serve their needs. And then once we have a critical mass of people that are using the tools, we really want to help focus their analytical horsepower on ecosystems that are deploying capital to open source and that stand to really benefit from impact tracking. So there isn't much activity happening in Bitcoin right now. There isn't much activity happening in Web 2 when it comes to deploying capital in these ways. A lot of the focus right now is on layer 2s and the Ethereum ecosystem. So naturally, that's where we're starting. We want to make it so that contributors can be rewarded for this kind of work. And then ultimately keep iterating on this until impact data science becomes an actual full-time role, either from within the Kariba network or potentially as people who graduate alumni from the collective and then go get jobs working for layer 2s or for DAOs or other places in the crypto ecosystem. That's kind of like the overall goal. What are we doing to enable that now? I'm going to switch screens and sorry, I just need to move to a different one. Okay, cool. So we've been doing a number of things under the hood over the past couple weeks to enable impact data scientists to start doing their job. And the first thing that we put out is this request for impact metrics. So ultimately, impact data science is about looking at this vast universe of potential data sources and trying to create meaning from them. And one of the ways that you can do that is by coming up with different types of impact metrics. So effectively, an impact metric is any way of taking a project and identifying some measure of positive impact. It could be the number of users. It could be the number of transactions that have happened. It could be the quality of the users. It could be their ability to attract new users to an ecosystem. It could even be something quite simple like the number of stars that its repos have. All of these things are data that is out there, and the job of impact data scientists is to help make sense of that and figure out which metrics are going to be more useful and more helpful for allocating funding. So we put out a blog post. We have the request for impact metrics. And then separately, we've created tooling to help people go in, explore the data, and start creating their own impact metrics. And so last Friday, we kind of dogfooded it with a little internal hackathon and tried to create some initial impact metrics. And I will show an example of those. I guess the other thing I'll say is the documentations that we have right now are really geared towards helping people get going as quickly as possible. So if you want to build with OSO data, you go here, you go to the do data science, and this tells you exactly how to go about fetching the data. You can work in Google Colab, which is the quickest way to get going. I'll actually do this right now. So you can copy one of our notebooks in here. I'm going to pick one of the ones from the hackathon that we just did. The one that I worked on was burstiness. So I'll show that notebook here. I loaded it up already. Okay. Step one is you just need to authenticate. So I've already done that, but this basically gets you into the BigQuery environment where you can start querying the data. The next part, if you're new to SQL, this might look a little bit intimidating, but if you played around on other SQL-based services for querying data, I think it's actually amazing how simple you can make your queries here to get data about any project. And so here what I'm going to do is basically grab for every week any time that someone has committed code to a project, and I'm going to use IPFS as my test project here. So it's basically going to go in, it's going to grab that data, and what it will return is basically a table that looks like this. So you have all of these weeks. I think in this case, it's going to go back to probably 2016 or something, 2014. So the first week where there was any activity in IPFS was in Christmas time of 2014. And then it's been going for 483 weeks since then. So long, big project, many, many commits. And the thing we want to see here is there any kind of pattern to the activity that's happening on this project? And are there periods of time where the team seems to be under stress or they're doing a lot of activity really quickly? That could mean that there's a big deadline. It could mean that there's a bug they're trying to patch, or it could just mean that there's some new people that are working really hard. Who knows? In any case, we can take this data and we can do a plot of burstiness. And so here, you can see that there's different periods. It's a little bit hard to interpret. And so what we've done is added Bollinger Bands to assess burstiness over time. This is like a tool that's used in the hedge fund industry. The financial analysts use this often to get a sense of like the overall trend for a asset. And so we're going to apply that same methodology here to look at the trend for IPFS. And so now I've done all the calculations, and we can create a pretty graph that allows us to look at burstiness over time. And so here you can see actually that there's a pretty steady trend over the past 10 years or so, but definitely some real periods of heavy burstiness. And if I were to be looking at this, I would say they've actually increased fairly recently. And so we can use that to construct a measure. In my case, all I'm doing is just looking at how many weeks over the past 12 weeks has there been a period of really high activity, which is like greater than the upper Bollinger Band here. So in the case of IPFS, it was about 17%. So I guess that would be 1 or 2 weeks out of every of the last 3 months, there was a period of very high burstiness. Now, the other cool thing is I showed this to one of our other contributors, our friend Doge, and he said, oh, cool, I was doing something similar with issues. And so he looked at the effect of issues being opened in certain Ethereum ecosystem projects. And so we kind of forked the same analysis and applied it to issues. And I'll just kind of cut to the chase right here. And so this is Go Ethereum, Geth. And you can see that there are a couple different periods when there was a huge amount of airdrop farming that was happening. People were opening up issues in expectation that they would get some kind of an airdrop. And so you can see these periods of like off the charts, like literally off the charts number of issues being opened up by random people on the internet. And normally there's only about 20 issues per week, but during these periods there were thousands. So it's a really interesting way of visualizing those kind of anomalies and using that as a way of charting the velocity and the health of a project over time. Obviously, these are both examples of projects that have been pretty steady, but if you were to see like a decline in activity, that might suggest that the project is transitioning into a new phase. It could be winding down, etc. And then obviously, if things are increasing, then that might suggest that the project is getting bigger and growing. So that was really cool. The final thing that I'll say is that we are in the process of announcing a collaboration with Optimism to do data science in their community as preparation for RetroPGF 4. So they actually want to get a community of analysts looking at on-chain data and using that to identify new impact metrics for on-chain projects. So there's a few domains that they care about. They care about user quality. They care about user engagement. They want to see economic growth, so metrics related to how products contribute to sequencer fees, block space demand, things like that. And then finally, they want to go deep into a couple specific domains. It could be like gaming or DeFi, so that you can do very sector-specific comparisons among projects. So we'll be announcing this, I think, later this week. There's a pool of funding that we're setting aside to reward contributors for coming up with impact metrics. We've created a guide for how to submit a metric and create an issue which contains your impact metric on our GitHub repo. Sorry, that was like a lot of stuff. It's been a really busy 2 weeks. Were there any questions that came up, or should we hand over to Reuven?
Yeah, just so people know, you have to join the stage to be able to ask a question, which
or you can
do that on your own accord
as well, right?
Yeah, and themes, I know we've been talking about this in the Arbitrum context, so next up we'll get one of these going for Arbitrum too. Nice. All right, that's it for me. Over to you, Reuven.
Sweet. All right. Okay, let's share. Yeah. Go live. All right, cool. All right. So yeah, one of the big things that we're trying to do right now is make sure that when people come to come to contribute to the website, or to OSO in general, the pull requests can actually be tested, maintain our quality control, that we can also test the DBT pipelines on our BigQuery. And previously, we had found out that through GitHub Actions that many of those things just broke if you were an external user. So if you even attempted to create a pull request, it would just show up as broken. Mostly because we discovered that variables and secrets, like non-secret variables and secret variables, were both just removed from action. So we came up with some solutions actually, because one of the big things that we're trying to push for is really just bringing together this data collective to really make this reality that it's an open data warehouse where anyone can contribute. So that was a kind of a big effort for us, just trying to make this kind of work. So let's take a look right now. This user on the right, on the black, is not me. It is a random user called OSO Let's Go. Is not a user of our organization. This person does not have write access to this repository, but they're going to make a contribution. So what shall we do? I guess we'll just change the README. We're going to do this all live on GitHub. So
Reuven, we're seeing your Discord.
Oh no. Really? Oh, it's oh shoot. Okay. Hold on. Didn't choose the right let's see. Okay. I think I know what I need to do here. Give me a second. Hold on. I'm going to stop this. How did the stream go? It went poorly. No. There we go. Perfect. There we go. All right, cool. So this should be the entire screen now. Okay, I'm just gonna minimize that. All right,
Yep.
so here in the black is a user, OSO Let's Go. That is not my GitHub user. This person is not associated, or this account is not associated with OSO in any way other than name. So this is for a live demo. Because I like playing with fire. All right. So we're gonna commit these changes, and we're gonna make a pull request directly to yeah, the main OSO repository. So update the pull request, and yeah, this is the right place. Yeah. Cool. So now so this user could also have used their own fork. It doesn't really matter. Or actually, that's, I believe, exactly what it does. But yeah, so now if we go in here, this is my actual account. We should see this pull request come up. So there are expected red X's that'll happen. But one of the things that we can do, so the test will run, but one of the other cool things that we can do is if one of us, like one of the OSO contributors that has like write access on the repository, can actually allow for this specific deployment or for this specific change to be deployed. Probably should have changed the SQL file because that would have been way cooler. But all you have to do as one of us, I guess, one of the contributors, is you take the commit SHA. So I guess that's quick, but grab one of these guys right here, and then you all you have to do is type deploy test / deploy test, and then the commit SHA. And the reason why we did it this way is in case someone tried to sneak something in that was not so good, that would deploy onto the into our test account, then it just wouldn't happen. But yeah, as you can see, the test deployment is awaiting approval. So let's approve it. And this takes a minute, so I'm not gonna. I probably should have just shown exactly what this is. Actually, we can look at one of my pull requests. So, which is currently broken. Yeah, that I'll fix that. But yes, if you have a successful deployment, the our GitHub Actions will automatically deploy this. We have set up a couple of ways to do this without any infrastructure on our side, except for GCP BigQuery itself. So all of this is all managed, without spinning up any new systems. But yeah, you can see this deployment here, and one thing that I would like to change is actually make a link to this data source or data set. But we can actually just take a look here now and make a query against it. What's the PR number? 1134. Yeah. So as you can see, we can just pick one of the tables in here. Let's do int events, I guess. Yeah. Shouldn't be too bad. Query. And it should only have today's events. So that is the limitation of our test. But yes, yeah, we have 8,200 or 8,277 events. But yeah, that is so once once the deployment is completed, yeah, the message should appear, but I guess it is taking a little bit longer. Let's see if this is actually getting through it. It should. Mm-hmm. Actually, let's go through here. Uh-huh. Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, so this is everything working. So you can actually, I believe all of these are actually public pipelines. Oh, the deployment did finish. Let's see if it succeeded. Hoping that it wouldn't this time. Yeah, all right, there we go. So yeah, so that's that. It doesn't seem like a lot, but that took quite a bit for us. And now, anytime people contribute to the DBT pipelines or any new data or any pull requests of any form, we can test. As you know, as you could see, this test workflow right here is still running, but that also does linting of our SQL, linting of our code or other code, and yeah. So external contributions are we would love them. So please make them if you can. All right. So the next thing that we did is and one of the next big pieces was that when we right now, as we accept data for like EOAs or other addresses on the blockchain, we're trying to figure out, or we wanted to figure out a way to discover all of the contracts that specific deployers that we have flagged that we'd like to see deploy. So previously we had been doing this manually, or I should not say we, I should say Carl did the amazing thing of doing this manually. So I've created now a way to do this through just our BigQuery queries. So I'm just going to give a couple of quick uh, like layer. So we can look at a little bit of a before and after. So this is before we used automatic discovery of deployers. So this is the old query that would run. This is only just the manual data plus some of the automatically discovered like repositories that we already have. So, but if I only wanted to do a count of all artifacts that are contract types, then I would get well, this is the problem with live. Let's see. Old artifacts at 1.1. Did I copy something incorrectly? There we go. Okay. I don't know what that was. So there's 22,000 contracts. And now if we do with the new data set, we've actually picked up quite a bit. And that's not a count, obviously. 38,000.
38,000.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, I might be being quite generous with what we're looking at. I might also, so we can check these queries, Carl. Like maybe I flagged some things that shouldn't be deployers and just checked all of their things. But yeah, this is we are able to cast a much wider net for all of the things that we would like to monitor.
Yeah, no, I think that this is probably correct. It might even be there might even be some deployers that were removed that we want to add back in.
Okay.
But like a lot of DeFi projects, there will be new contracts that are getting spun up like literally all the time whenever
Yes.
there's a new pair or something.
This is what I'm noticing, yeah. Based on So so some work still needs to be done to extend this to all of the Ethereum blockchains. But based on the data sets that we do have available, this is quite trivial now. Now that we've done it for Optimism and for Ethereum. The same exact data sets exist for Arbitrum on Google. So yeah, it should be almost a copy paste job, but I did want to clean that up a little bit probably before we did more of those things. But yeah, one of the other big things that we're working on, just sort of thinking into the future, is gathering more of the blockchain data into our right continuously. Right now, we have kind of manual data dumps from Dune, but we are working on getting more of a continuous pool of data. So yeah, that's it. Any questions? Go.
Hey, sorry, I just got a phone call coming in from IKEA.
Oh,
But I hung up on them, and yeah, that's really awesome. I think that obviously it's going to make it much easier to just continuously update all the project data. It also means that we can probably get rid of all the contracts that we currently have in OSS directory, right? Um,
there are docs themes. Yeah. About this specific update, no. Yeah. One of the things that we are trying to do is we do have a bit of a to do to get docs for every single one of our models that we have for GBT, or just improve those docs in general. There are docs for like in line with the code, but yeah, like using our models definitely needs a little bit more. I think we need to work on getting like richer documentation for each model for sure. Oh
yeah, well,
yeah,
sorry, am I able to share my screen? Let me actually, can you see my screen?
yeah.
Okay, nice. Um, so just quickly here, like themes, the way that we have a project set up is basically a project is a list of like things that it owns. So it can be GitHub, it can be npm, it can be a blockchain address, and then every blockchain address is basically a there's a bit of information that is captured about it, but it's pretty simple. And so we might just say, here's an address that represents a deployer, and it has deployed on mainnet and Optimism. Here's a safe address, which is used for custodying funds. Here's an EOA, which is used for custodying funds, etc. So we can like create all of those addresses. Previously, we also had ones for all the contracts that were in there, and so like the project files got really big, and anytime the project deployed a new contract, it would get out of date. So the cool thing about this is that all we need to do is actually track just the deployers, and then after that, any contract that comes from it will be automatically associated with the project. So I guess that's probably it. Anything else? Nice. Well, to our participants who joined in, thanks so much for joining. This is like only the second one that we've done, so we're trying to get better at it each time. But we want to build the public and share what we're up to. Again, a lot of this right now is kind of a little bit behind the scenes, but we're really excited in a few days to announce the first data challenge to get more people contributing. If any of you are interested in actually participating directly, please reach out. Not only is there potentially some tokens on the table for participating, we also want to help people learn how to use our tools. And so myself and Reuven, we will, and Ray too, although he's been less involved in like the like the data side day to day, we'll definitely hold your hand to get going, get set up, and help you contribute. Yay. Sweet. Well, thanks so much, everyone. We'll see you around.
Thanks, guys.